Very good. So now we're ready to move on. This is the finished landscape that we were doing in our big pixels. So where we left off was about right here. We created part of our sky. And yours is probably going to look a little bit different than mine, and that's okay too. I think the main thing that you want to do is make sure that it's filled with some color, okay? And we're creating dark colors and going down to light colors, and I don't know if anyone remembers, but that is called a gradient. So if we are here, and you might be a little bit forward, but what you're going to need is 3 or 4 light green pieces of tissue paper. Totally up to you if you want 3 mountains or 4 mountains in the background. So go ahead and grab your 3 or 4. And when you are ready, this is how it's going to work. This green piece of paper, we usually put them like this. But today, we're going to tilt them like this, like a diamond shape, in order to make it look like a mountain that's popping up in the background. And the way I want you to glue it down is I want the mountain to lay right on top of your light pink tissue paper. So when you glue it on, make sure that you use your glue sponge. So my glue sponge is up here. You dab it on. And you are going to lay down your mountains on top of the light pink. If you accidentally put your mountains down below here on the bottom, that's okay. You could just add more green mountains and then lay it over on the pink. Later on, you'll go over that area and you won't be able to see the green. So it's no problem if you accidentally put them down here. So why don't you go ahead and add 3 or 4 mountains. And the way I like to do mine is I put my mountains next to each other. So I'm going to do one here. And remember, it's called overlapping. We're overlapping the green on top of the light pink. So why don't you go ahead, keep going, finish that up. And I might add 1 more mountain. It's totally up to you. You can add 2, 3, 4, whatever you decide. But I like to see a mountain landscape. And the way we're going to finish this off after you're done with your mountains, and feel free to stop this video at any time so you can get some help. But what I'm going to do is there's some white space here, and I'm just going to put a green one right there. Maybe you want to do a green row all the way across, okay? And this will help you out later so you don't have any white spots. So this might take some time. Just go ahead, add green all the way across on the places that have some white spots, okay? And I'm just going to do that right now. Some of you are going to probably wonder, what about over here? Well, that's up to you. If you want, you could either add 1 more mountain, maybe 2, or you could just have it be flat ground. The first picture I did, I made it flat ground. But if you want, I don't know, maybe I'll add 1 more mountain. Just have mountains go all the way across. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. And you are the artist, so if you want to add more mountains, that's completely up to you. We're just kind of getting an idea of how this whole thing works. You see how I laid it right on top of the pink? Doesn't matter. You're still going to be able to see the green. We'll just finish up here. A few more green. So we're doing a lot of green today. And if you are moving right ahead of everyone else, maybe this could be a great time for you to help someone at your table. You can be an assistant today. Okay, I think we are about ready to move on to the next step. Hold on, I'm just gonna add one more. Might as well make it look nice and neat. There we go. Okay, so we have our mountains in the background. So let me show you what the next step is. We're gonna make more mountains. Oh, actually, let me show you this one. This one's a lot nicer. So we're gonna make mountains in the middle ground, okay? So this is background. These are my background mountains. So now we have the hills in the middle. And I don't know if you could see this, but I only have 2 hills. And these I had to make a mountain out of one little piece of light green. But these, we're gonna create hills out of using 2 or 3 dark greens. So why don't you start looking for some dark greens right now? And I'm gonna do the same. And let's pull out at least 6 dark greens. I think that will be a good number to use. 6 dark greens. And these are what they look like. So I'm just going to pull a bunch out. If you have a few more, that's fine too. If someone at your table needs one, please make sure you are sharing. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to do a flat one. Easy, right? So let's do a flat one right here. And you see how I'm overlapping that light green? We definitely want to do that. So let's put our first one down. Easy peasy. Flat on top of the light green. Why don't you all do that right now? I'm going to flip my glue sponge. So when we have a mountain or a hill that looks a little bit bigger and we're overlapping it in the front, what we are doing is we are, of course, overlapping, but we are making something appear as if it is pushing further into the background or pulling into the foreground. So that's why we use 2 tissue papers right now to make our hill. So how this works is I call it the TP effect. So you know how a TP, you have 2 sides and they lean up against each other. So I have my 2 tissue papers, and usually tissue papers we lay flat like this. But when we make our TP or a little hill, we're gonna just tilt them up like this. And that's how we're going to glue it. So I'm gonna do my first one. I'm just gonna tilt it up like this. Let me grab some glue on this. And I'm tilting it up. So the next part is we're just going to tilt it down. Green is starting to look a little bit like a snake. It's going down and up and down and up. And we can keep doing this all the way across. And it's going to start to look like little hills. So let's do that. And it looks like I might need another one. So here's up to you. If you want to just go straight across, you can, or you could just do one more hill. If you go off your page, that's fine. You could use your scissors to cut it off. So I have a feeling that this next one is going to go right off my page. Yep. Totally right. So if you want, you could just cut off the excess. All right. So now we're looking really good. Okay, so we're actually going to take a break because that final step is so easy that it doesn't really need directions. So while I have you, you're going to get 2, actually, why don't we say 3 yellow pieces of paper. Grab 3. I only have 2 right now. Let me grab one more. Okay, I have 3 right now. So the first one is really easy, and we're going to make a square sun. I like to make my sun kind of like how we did our little mountains. I'm just going to tilt it sideways. So let's put some glue on it. So our sun, this is kind of a cool picture because we have the sun and the moon all in the same picture. Okay, so there's my sun. So how we do the moon. So we're actually going to cut corner to corner, or you can fold it if you want to, but I don't think this is going to fold right. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut it right in half. So we make a rectangle into a triangle. And this is going to be my moon. So if someone is having a hard time cutting this, why don't you just give them your extra triangle and they can have a moon without having to cut anything. So then I'm going to put my moon like this right here. So now we have one more piece, and I'm going to use that for my stars. And what I like to do is I'm just going to cut some smaller squares. We're using tiny squares like pixels, so, you know, let's keep it squares and not the shape of a, I wouldn't spend any time cutting shapes of actual stars. Just do squares. I might have too many. I would say 3 or 4 stars are probably good. And I'm just going to keep them like tiny like this and put them in different places. You kind of want to keep it in the area that's dark. Our purples and our pinks are like the area that you want to put these in. Let me see. Might do 2 more. Some small, some big. I'll do 1 right here. And maybe I'll do 1 more down here. Or, I don't know, kind of like that. I think I'm good with that. So I just did 4. All right, we're getting close to the end, you guys. You should be very proud of yourself. So the very bottom part is we need a little bit of a ground. So we need brown, a bunch of brown, and the last step is this. You just go all the way across the bottom with brown, straight across. Just like how we did the blues and the colors on the top. So this is going to be our ground. And why don't you guys go ahead and do that? All the way across. I'm going to do mine quickly, but Miss Cooper can help you. Sometimes I like a little uneven ground. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight all the way across. Sometimes there's a bump, you know. Okay, and that's really done. If you want to add like maybe a flower. I don't know if you guys remember last year, but we did little flowers by Monet Flowers by taking little bits of pink and twisting the flowers into these little things like this. And I don't know if you remember the Monet flowers, but then we dipped it. We did the lily pads. We dipped it into the glue. And if you want to put a flower or 2 down at the bottom, maybe you want to do that. That's totally fine. So I'm going to add a couple flowers for those that are finished early. Otherwise, just finish. And if you have any white spots on your paper, just find the color that's closest to it and fill in, overlap, fill in the color so you can just make sure there's no white spots. We want to cover the entire piece of paper, almost like we're covering the entire screen with pixels. All right, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful spring break. I'll probably see you around campus before we go, but if I don't, then have a wonderful break, and I will see you when we get back. Okay? Bye.